welcome to Ladies of Another View on Beck. I am Mary, and I'm coming at you from Bottineau, North Dakota. I'm so excited to be here. Came through the area a few weeks ago, and there's so much to see and do. I just knew I had to do a show here, but we couldn't fit it all into one, so we're doing several in the area. We're going to talk to May Strike, first of all, but we're also going to talk about the gold hockey sled team that came right out of Bottineau, North Dakota, or the coaches are from Bottineau, North Dakota. They won world champions. We're going to talk about the Viking history. We're going to go into why you need to come see and stay in Bottineau, North Dakota. But first of all, May, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I understand you were the former auditor up here.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what your background in Bottineau.
Well, I came here as a county auditor, but when I was a child, I came up here every summer with my parents to Lake Minigoshi for a picnic. And I remember seeing the beautiful trees on the streets and the ribbon of road that came from Main Street clear up into the hills. And I'll always remember that. And I always thought, oh, this would be a great place to go and live, because I just thought it was the most beautiful sight. And it was a gravel road at that time. And so it was just a narrow, tree-lined road all the way up into the mountains.
Oh.
And I thought that was just really neat as a child.
You know, it's interesting you say mountains, because they call these the Turtle Mountains, and then when you're in South Dakota, they call them the Black Hills. Mm-hmm. And they could be vice versa, more like the Turtle Hills and the Black Mountains. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about the history. I understand that Bottineau was actually supposed to be a little bit north of here.
Yes, it was north, and then they moved it into the city. And as the story goes, they always have to have a good story, that it came in the middle of the night and was then situated down in Bottineau. It was a house. And then after a while, they built this beautiful courthouse out of brick. And I worked in that for many years, and it was just a wonderful place to be. But then it became to the point where they needed to have a new one. And so then they built a new, beautiful centennial courthouse, a bicentennial courthouse, right behind the old courthouse. So we were able to see the construction, and when it was demolished, we were able to see that out of the windows. And we ended up with this real beautiful courthouse in the city of Bottineau.
Great.
Which we were proud of.
So you talk about moving in the dark of night. So I understand that initially the courthouse was in Slope County, or what county, what's north of here? They moved it across the county line, or?
That I'm not aware of, but you might find that in the historical book that you can find at Karen's or at the library or at the museum.
Perfect. But I understand they actually pulled the house in the dark of night.
Yes, they did.
So just to move the county seat closer. And we've done other my hometowns, and we have heard similar stories to that.
Yeah.
So then let's talk about who is Pierre Bottineau. Tell us about him.
Pierre Bottineau was a voyager, a fur trader, and a trapper, and he was a guide, a very, very famous guide. They said that he could find his way in the darkest of night, anywhere. And he had a lot of children, and he was of native and French descent. And they say that he would have gone into government had he not had the native portion of his heritage, because he was very well respected. And the county was named by Governor Ordway in honor of Pierre Bottineau. We have a statue on the courthouse grounds that was made by a local artist, Arlen Evenson. And at that time, we were able to have relatives of Bottineau here, and we were very honored to have them. And they were so pleased, and they were so pleased with the statue, because the one man who was a great-great-great-grandson of Pierre Bottineau stood with his profile by the statue, and he looked exactly like the statue. So Arlen Evenson, the artist, was so pleased that he had done a good job of Pierre Bottineau. So we were really pleased and honored to have that. There's Bottineau people around the area still to this day. And he was born and raised on the Turtle River in Grand Forks, but he did spend some time along our Souris River here in Bottineau County.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm assuming he probably made his way through Canada a little bit too?
Yes, I'm sure he did, and he was associated with a lot of the famous fur traders and trappers. And so he then also at one time owned the city of St. Paul, and he lost it in a cards game, and it was called Pig's Eye.
So tell us more about that. He owned the entire city.
Well, he owned a
Paul.
great big portion of the city. And that was the story, that he had lost it in this card game. And of course, like I said, it was named Pig's Eye. And in St. Paul, they have parks named after Pierre Bottineau. They have a song about Pierre Bottineau, and they have streets named after Pierre Bottineau. And then he retired in his life and passed away in Red Lake Falls, Minnesota. And so I've been to his gravesite, and they've done a really nice job of honoring him in Red Lake Falls. So he was quite a gentleman and quite an historian, quite a man. I enjoyed him, reading about him and learning about Pierre Bottineau. Even named my dog after him.
Interesting. So I understand that your library has quite a collection of information from Pierre Bottineau,
Yes.
or just of the history of the area?
The history of the area, yes, it does. The library is very full of the history of the area. They have a special room that's called the North Dakota Room, and they have the history of Pierre. They have the history of Jack Olson, who you were talking to Scott about at the Stonehenge, and he was a very interesting man also.
Great.
We have a lot of history here.
I see that. And I actually spent some time at the museum last night. They had a cluseum, very lovely. And I saw a picture on the wall, and it said USS Bottineau. There was actually a Navy ship.
Yes, there was a ship named after Bottineau. And we have a copy and picture of that at the courthouse. And one of our retired police officers, or county sheriff, happened to serve on that ship. And so we were very proud of that.
Great.
Yes.
And then I understand, because I did a little bit of reading about it, it eventually did get scrapped, like
yes,
in
it did.
50s or so, something like that,
Yeah.
or 60s. Interesting. But it had been in, and now correct me if I'm wrong, was it World War I or World War II?
Well, I'm not sure either, but it probably was World War II.
Okay. Well, that's something else that we can find out if people just go to the museum up here in Bottineau. All right, so we just have a little bit of time left. Is there anything else you feel is important about Bottineau that you would like to share about the history of Bottineau?
Well, I think that Bottineau is a wonderful town. The people work well together. They have murals everywhere to depict the story of Bottineau and the history of Bottineau. We have a beautiful tribute to the veterans that is at the cemetery, and we have a beautiful memorial building for the veterans that is located by the museum, and it's well used. And in fact, right now it's being used for their event at the museum. So Bottineau is a very progressive town, I believe, and people work well together. And I'm proud to be a member of the city of Bottineau and Bottineau County.
Amen. So then I just have to, because you did mention the murals, I have been in town 2 different times for 3 days at a time, and it took me until yesterday to figure out that that old brick building on Main Street
wasn't real.
It's not real. It is a mural of a building, and I just figured that out last night. It is that real.
It is so real that we have seen people go up to the door and try to open that door and walk into that building.
All right.
So it is very authentic, and it's been there a long, long time. And I think that shows our pride, that we want to show what we have here by painting the buildings and putting our spin on what we think Bottineau is like. And we hope people come and visit and see that.
Thank you, May. I appreciate you coming on and sharing the history of Bottineau today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We will be right back after this on Ladies of Another View on Back.
My hometown of Bottineau is brought to you in part by the following: Border Egg, Women's Way, State Bank of Bottineau. Now you can have the personalized forecast at your fingertips when you need it. Beck's exclusive Weather Insight is information tailored to you. Radar, weather alerts, forecasts, and videos. Download the free Weather on Beck News app. Search your app store now.
Bottineau County is highlighted by Bottineau, Lake Metagoshi, the Turtle Mountain area, and the beautiful International Peace Gardens. Summertime offers an abundance of outdoor activities, including water sports, canoeing, biking along beautiful trails in the state park, and much more. Downhill skiing, snowboarding, and snow tubing are also available at the Bottineau Winter Park. The mountain facility offers a variety of trails so that beginners to experts can have a blast down the slopes. No matter which route you choose to get to Bottineau County, enjoy the drive and expect a warm welcome awaiting when you arrive. Bottineau County. Let's go.
For women who give their all for others every day, it's easy for self-care to get lost in the shuffle. Regular breast cancer screenings save lives. Take care of your loved ones by taking care of your health. Talk to your healthcare provider about a breast cancer screening today.
Lori Hins here with No Apologies on Beck. You've got a movie.
Of course I've got a movie. What do you mean?
You are the king of all media. How silly of me, where we bring you our after-hours oasis of sanity.
You're going to see that this is an intentional destruction of the United States in three very intentional ways.
Every Saturday and Sunday.
There was not a single pro-life women's voice in Congress at that time.
On Beck and Beck.News.
Tax audits, tax liens, wage garnishments.
Every day we hear stories like this about good folks who are simply struggling to pay their bills. Each of them are living a frightening IRS tax nightmare, and they are afraid it will destroy their lives. If you are worried that the IRS could garnish your wages, seize your assets, even take your home, call us right now. The Tax Relief Line is here to help you. Now, you have a knowledgeable, professional team of tax experts that are ready to negotiate with the IRS and fight for you to save you money. The Tax Relief Line's professionals have successfully negotiated thousands of cases, reducing and sometimes even eliminating the tax debt for their clients. Simply call the number on your screen right now. You don't have to live in fear anymore. The call and the consultation are free.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck. We are at Pride Dairy, and I have the honor of visiting with Kyle Kittleson. He's the plant manager right here at Pride Dairy. Kyle, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You know, it's so exciting. When I came through Bottineau and I saw they had a little ice cream shop and a little dairy shop right downtown Bottineau, North Dakota, I thought, I've got to stop there. Tell us the history of Pride Dairy.
Oh, Pride Dairy's been here a long time. I think they started around 1930 or so, and they've been here ever since. They keep growing a little bit, but they're a small operation yet, but they're still growing.
Great. And so I understand that you guys have the recipe of Thomas Jefferson's ice cream. Any truth to that?
Yeah, that's the truth. We do. We have the recipe, and we use it a lot. So
how did you come across it? How did you obtain a recipe from Thomas Jefferson?
That is one of our bosses, 30 years, researched it and found it, and we tried it, and it worked out really great, and the people love it, so we just keep making it.
And I understand that you guys had a contract with down in the Black Hills with Mount Rushmore?
Yes, we did. We had a contract for them. We could only sell it to them exclusively for I think it was a year or 2 years when we first started making it.
And I would think that was pretty exciting for them down there. Did you sell a lot of ice cream to Mount?
Yes, we sold a lot. Actually, we sold it to Dean Foods, but then they sold it to Mount Rushmore. But yeah, they sold a lot through the summer.
Interesting. And so tell us what the dairy, has to offer up here. I mean, it's an ice cream shop and it's also a dairy. Do you have a dairy with the cattle right out, outside of town, or where do you get your supplies?
Well, we get our supplies through different companies, but no, there's no longer any dairy farms around here. They're just done, but very few in North Dakota anymore. But we get all our supplies from different suppliers throughout the state. mostly if we can locally, and stuff. So.
Sure. And so let's talk about how important it is to have a business like this, a thriving business in a smaller community in North Dakota.
Well, I think it's very important because it gives a lot of local people local jobs. They don't have to travel very far, and it supports a lot of families, and it keeps everybody busy working.
Right. Yeah. And so we also, with ice cream, it's kind of a summer dessert in a way. I know you're open all year round, but you have quite the tourist season up here too, don't you?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that travel through Bottineau, North Dakota, just for the Lake Metagoshi, and they stop by here always to load up or just visit the ice cream parlor and stuff. So yeah.
Great. And then also we're just a few miles from the International Peace Gardens.
Yes, we are. Not very far, probably 14, 16, something like that. So.
Great. And so if people are going to the Peace Gardens or to Lake Metagoshi or to the Winter Park or Annie's house, they should certainly make a stop right here at Pride Dairy and check out the ice cream.
Oh, exactly. Yes. It's a good place to stop and visit.
And what else do you have available out in the shop?
They make syrups here, and they make caramels, and they make butter and stuff like that. So a lot of small gift ideas and stuff. Yep.
And then I also noticed in one of your coolers you have frozen rolls.
Yeah, they sell some of that, like for breakfast people and stuff. Yep.
So people come buy the frozen rolls, cut it up, and go ahead and have fresh rolls any morning.
Yep, they can. Yeah, they got frozen buns and all that stuff from Baker Boy and stuff. So yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yep. And so, is there anything else that you'd like to share about Pride Dairy?
Pride Dairy is a good place to work. It's been here many years, and it's gave jobs to a lot of people. And most of the people that have worked here stayed here usually, unless of course they're, going to college or part-time and stuff. But yeah. And I used to be the youngest one working here. Now I'm the oldest one, but that's the way it is. So.
Times do change, don't they?
Yes.
And so we're sitting here in this really lovely back room of Pride Dairy. Do people rent it for birthday parties or?
Sometimes they don't usually rent it out. They use it, and whatever works. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Yep. That's so good. And thanks for giving back to the community like that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for joining us today. And
thank you.
We're going to come back with more stories about Bottineau, North Dakota right after this on Ladies of Another View on Back.
My hometown of Bottineau is brought to you in part by the following: Drive Chevrolet Buick, Bottineau, Harvey, and Rugby. Gifts by the Lake. Bottineau Current.
Hey y'all, it's Trent on the loose. Travel the country with Trent on the loose, and we'll find those interesting human interest stories behind the people that bring us the efficient food supply. Trent on the loose.
Parents, listen up. Here's what your kids are being taught in public school: that there's no difference at all between boys and girls, that every white person is racist, and so is math. Supporting Black Lives Matter and social justice is more important than reading and writing. And thanks to Joe Biden, teachers unions just got tens of billions of dollars in COVID cash to push all this in front of your kids.
That's right, and we want to make sure you not only stay informed, but have the tools to fight back. So watch the Dr. Duke Show weekdays at 2:30 p.m. Central Time on Beck TV.
My name is Dr. Jill Steinley, and I'm a gynecologist. As a gynecologist, I see women for their preventative health care visits, and an important part of that is doing routine breast cancer and cervical cancer screening. It's important for women to have regular breast and cervical cancer screening to identify cancers early when they're most curable, and ensure that you're around for many years to enjoy your family and your loved ones and be there for them.
You rip and tear your old statements and bills, but thieves use this information to steal your identity. Don't be a victim. Get the ID Police, the new ink roller that encrypts all your old documents. So before you throw it out, just roll it on, and your information is gone, both on the front and through the back. Even if the paper is held up to the light, even your medical information is safe with the ID Police. So block it out before you throw it out. Order now and get your ID Police for as low as $9.99 and get free shipping too. This offer is not available on Amazon, so call or click now to get your ID Police for as low as $9.99 with free shipping. Order now.
Call 1-800-268-8193. That's 1-800-268-8193. Or visit idpolice.com. So call 1-800-268-8193 now.
We are rewriting Hollywood's script for our kids. I'm pop culture expert Tina Griffin, and as a former Hollywood actress, I'm giving you a behind-the-scenes look at how today's entertainment is eroding the foundational development of America's youth and how to safely navigate this pop culture chaos. Knowledge is power. Parents want solutions. It's time to get the power back in your hands and reclaim the right to decide who and what should influence your kids.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. Central Time on Beck TV.
Welcome back to the show, and we are talking with Corey Gorder right here in Bottineau. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So I want to hear more about this sled hockey team. Tell us everything.
So I guess I got involved probably 7 or 8 years ago when we have a development camp every summer where we have 60 mostly young adults, maybe ages 15 up to 20 something, all depending. Sometimes we get a few players that are a little bit older, but we have a development camp where we have 60 of those folks and we come in for a week and we put on basically a hockey camp for USA Hockey. I got involved because someone backed out last minute and they needed another coach, another able-bodied stand-up coach. And I hadn't been around a lot of people that were in wheelchairs or had prosthetics or anything like that. And I thought, why not put myself in an uncomfortable situation? But got to do that for the last 8 years or so. And then 4 years ago, we had a shift in the coaching staff. Jeff Sauer was the head coach of the national team at the time, and he passed away. And then David Hoff became the head coach, and then ultimately then I became the assistant coach after that, and then was able to be a part of the national team for the last 4 years.
So tell us how you came to be the champions. Like, tell us a little bit about your athletes.
Yeah, so we have 17 athletes. We have 15 players and 2 goaltenders. That's what you're allowed to carry when you're in international competition. And so we run the Olympic cycle is what we run as well for the Paralympics. And so that happens. We have a world championship the first year of the cycle. We have nothing the second year of the cycle. We have another world championship. And then ultimately on the 4th year of a cycle, as we would call it, we end up playing in the Paralympic Games. The road to that was a little difficult with COVID and trying to adjust those things. And we ended up going to the Czech Republic a couple different times to play for world championships where our team was able to be world champions, I guess, 2 different years that I was a part of it. And then catapulted into Beijing, China with all the extra rules and COVID things that we got to do to go there. But we ultimately went there and our guys performed at, a great level to win a gold medal throughout the entire games.
So most of your athletes, tell us a little bit about how they became disabled. Were they born with a disability or was it an injury?
So we have varying degrees of people and that disability where we have a handful of them that were born with this that's given them the opportunity to play. We have 6 veterans who were injured when they were overseas deployed. And then we have some just people who were cancer survivors and had some amputation where they're now in a sled.
Sure. And we just have a little bit of time left. What would be your final shout out for people to learn more about your team?
Well, Google, I don't know, research. I mean, you can type in anything, U.S. sled hockey team, and it's there. There's a couple documentaries that are out there that have been made that I watched prior to myself going to any of those camps, just to try to get a better understanding of what it is. And it's just really opened my mind and my eyes, I should say, to all the things that are able in every aspect of life, including sport.
Right, and Bottineau is a great area as far as hockey in general.
Yeah, yeah, I wish our team was all from here, but they're from all around the United States, and very seldom do we ever get to come to our town. But it's fun to know that I guess the two coaches are from the area.
Perfect. All right. Well, I want to thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
I have the privilege of visiting with Coach David Hoff. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Hey, thank you.
You're welcome. I understand you are the Paralympic sled hockey team coach right out of here in Bottineau, North Dakota.
Yes, I am. Yeah, I've been fortunate to work my way through, I guess, a little bit of what USA Hockey does. And in 2016 was given the opportunity to be the assistant coach. And then in 2018, following the games in Pyeongchang, was given the opportunity to be the head coach. So I'm excited and very honored to be the head coach of that team.
Great. You know, we did catch up with Corey, the assistant coach, yesterday. And so if you see us in different settings here, it's because Corey, we pre-recorded and caught up with him. But tell us the importance of having a Paralympic team in general.
Well, I think, first of all, I'd probably just start out with Paralympic. I don't think a lot of people know what that word means. And the Paralympics, para, meaning parallel, is a parallel path, parallel Olympics for people with physical disabilities, and was started in the 1940s after World War II, when there were a lot of military people coming home all over the world with injuries, and they decided there needed to be an opportunity for these people to compete athletically. And well, it's grown to be more than just military people. It's people with all kinds of disabilities. It's a huge event that really goes hand in hand with the Olympics.
Wow, and it is, they compete about the same time, don't they?
We do. The Paralympics has gotten so big now that it follows the Olympics. So there's about a 2-week break, and then the Paralympics starts up in the same location, same venues as the Olympics is run.
Great. And so tell us how a person can be on a team.
Well, USA Hockey has put a lot of resources, a lot of money into it, and developing and giving opportunities for kids across this country with all kinds of disabilities. When I say kids, it's more than kids. It's some of our military veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan that have come back with injuries. And so if you look at our team, 17 players, we have 6 military veterans, 1 cancer survivor, a young man injured in a water skiing accident, and then 9 individuals who were born with some sort of physical disability. But really, it's a great group of men, 17 guys with 17 different stories. Very inspiring, but 17 guys who want to be the best sled hockey players in the world, and that's really what it's all about.
And so did some of these players play ice hockey in the past?
Yeah, we have a handful of them. The majority were in some form of athletics prior to their injury or where they were. And we have, I think, 3 or 4 of our guys who actually had played hockey, maybe even at the collegiate level, and then joined the military and were injured in Afghanistan or something like that, and then came back to sled hockey.
Oh, wonderful. That's great. And then so tell us how it comes to be Bottineau, North Dakota, small town USA. How do we get 2 gold champion coaches out of Bottineau, North Dakota?
You know, I said I did a lot of work for USA Hockey, and part of that is outside of my teaching job here in Bottineau. I would do a lot of coaching education work. And 2010, I was given an opportunity to work at a camp in the summer for kids with disabilities. And I thought it would be a great opportunity for me to learn as a teacher, take some things back. And so I did that. At that time, had no idea that 6 years later I would be the assistant coach, just kind of started to work my way through it. But it's a week that I enjoy, and I now run that camp every year for USA Hockey. But it's been a great experience. And 2018, following the games in Pyeongchang, we won the gold medal there. I was given the opportunity then to become the head coach. And part of that was I was then asked who I wanted to be my assistant. And so we went through a few names, but Corey was someone who he brings such with his mental health background as a mental health professional, great hockey guy, really just a good person. I thought he would be a good fit, and it's worked really well the last 4 years.
It seems to. And tell us some of the accolades that you've had. You've had more than 1 medal.
Yeah, in my time, I guess I started in 2016, 2017, we won the silver medal in the World Championships. In 2018, we won the gold medal at the Paralympic Games in Pyeongchang. In 2019 and 2021, we won the gold medal at the World Championships both of those times. And then we're just fortunate to return from Beijing here in March, having won the gold medal at the Paralympic Games there.
Oh, that's great. Now, we just have a little bit of time left. When I think of a team, I think of practice. How do you practice, or who do you practice against to become a gold medal winner?
Yeah, we're really fortunate, as I mentioned, the resources USA Hockey's put in, but we have 17 players on our team, but we also have a development team. I think people would say it's kind of like the JV team. 17 guys who are trying to get a spot on our team. So we are able to hold some joint training camps where we then have 34 guys. We're able to train against each other, but a lot of our training is within that group of 17. We have extremely competitive, but it's a great environment. It's a really fun environment to be a part of.
Sure. And then since you are so close to Canada, do you ever compete against them in a friendly rivalry?
Yeah, we do. And it's definitely our biggest rival. And for us, because a lot of the travel is overseas, it's our easiest travel just because, you know, we are on the same continent. So yeah, we end up with series here in the United States as well as up there as well.
Okay. Well, Coach, we've simply run out of time, but we do appreciate you coming on and sharing the story.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And just blessings to you and your team as you travel across the world.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after this on Ladies of Another View on Beck.
My hometown of Bottineau is brought to you in part by the following: Ottertail Power Company, Wold Engineering PC, Farmers Union Oil Company of West Hope, Surrey, and Bottineau. Beck News is your leader in local. Beck specials and live information for you. Original programming. Exclusive local sports. Beck is local for you. Uncensored topics and uncensored opinions. Unapologetic politics, where all sides are represented. Full episodes online anytime at beck.news. All in one network. Your leader in local, Beck News.
We're the Ladies of Another View.
You think about the kind of person who is stupid enough to think that they can raise a tiger.
Bringing you our take on local issues.
Off your shirt. Sunburn, you better take care when you can't stand to sit down in your favorite chair.
The views you won't see anywhere else.
And it's like a river wearing down sharp stones and softening them up.
Catch us weekdays at 4:30 Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
Nick Bolton here with the latest from Bell & Howell. We call them tack glasses. Inspired by the sunglasses worn by our heroes in uniform, tack glasses block blinding glare so well, invisible objects suddenly become visible. Enhance colors to give you vision as sharp as an eagle's and survive even the harshest conditions. Look, ordinary sunglasses just make things darker, which could be deadly in a tactical situation. Tack glasses improve optical clarity so you can see clearly, even in low light. If you've never seen how this light filtering technology works, check this out. Nothing to see, right? But look again as we hold up our tack glasses. A colorful American eagle is revealed. Amazing!
Act now to get your tack glasses for just $19.99, and we'll even ship it to you free. So don't delay. Order yours today.
To order, call 1-800-288-9503. That's 1-800-288-9503, or order online at trytackglasses.com. 1-800-288-9503.
We have always said, and will continue to say on this show, that it's not enough to just trust the plan. How can these people show their faces in public after what they have done to our children? This has been the reality in Mexico for close to 2 decades now. I'm thinking about that and beyond that, because I don't think these people give a damn about what you say or what my voice is.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck. I have the honor and privilege of visiting with Scott Wager right here in Bottineau. Scott, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You know, when I talked about doing Bottineau, your name kept popping up, that you are quite the historian, and they are so grateful for you. So let's kind of hop right into the Viking aspect of Bottineau. Give us a little bit of that history.
Well, it started with a man called John Malberg, and he was with the college, and then he was with another college professor one day, and the other college professor brought up that he had an odd stone on his property. So they went and looked at it, and it was quite a big stone. And it had a special triangular hole in it. And through the course of their conversations, they believed it was a mooring stone, which Vikings used to moor up their ships when they got off and went on land.
And when you say moor up a ship, you're saying you tie it to a rock so it doesn't float to sea.
They would take a metal pole and hammer it into the hole. And then that would keep the ship tied down. Kind of like stopping at the local lake at a dock and tying your rope to a pole and getting off. So.
Got it. So when I see the area, I don't see a lot of water in Bottineau. Tell us what year you think that might have been.
That's a good question, but they believe it was sometime between the 12th, 13th, and 14th century. Prior to the 14th century, Lake Souris, which was here and covered all of Bottineau and up into the Turtle Mountains to a point. That left prior to the 14th century, but in the 14th century, it started getting cold and wet again, and eventually water came back and it froze up again to a frozen lake, basically, through the winter anyway. But so that's where the water comes from. So
we're thinking that in the 12th century, there was a trail, or not a trail, but an ocean passage from the ocean into this area.
Into this area, you know, and I believe there's Lake Agassiz in Minnesota. There's a lot of mooring stones and things of that nature. And then here now they have what they believe are mooring stones.
And I know you mentioned during the break that they're all on the same elevation. There's several of them?
Yeah, they eventually found the first one, and as the owner then started looking for more, he found 3 more, and there were about, from the first one to the third one, there was about 300 yards of space. And the interesting point of these stones and why they think they're mooring stones is because they're all at the same elevation, because the water level was at that level.
All right, now you had given me a book about the Vikings in the area, and thank you for that. And I want to say it was printed down at Spectrum right here locally.
Yeah.
But there were some other artifacts that were found, some Roman swords. There's other things in the area. Tell us about that.
There was a chisel that was found that dates back to Viking eras, supposedly, and there's also an axe with the same date, and they found a Viking sword. Forgive me, a Viking sword over in the Dunseith area in Rolette County in the Turtle Mountains. So. Well,
that's interesting. That makes me think of that show called Oak Island. There's so much history behind that. It's almost like we have our little Oak Island right here. And there just so happens to be a lot of oaks as well. So tell us about, I understand that there's some stone caves on some private land that people think are related to that as well?
There are stone caves. What's interesting about the stone caves is that they're quite large in size, but they were made without mortar. They're stone caves where they just planted these huge rocks and made a cave. Basically, they believe, some want to believe they're Viking caves. Most believe that there's one on the west end and one on the east end. And
of the Turtle Mountains.
Of the Turtle Mountains, and the one on the east end, a man homesteaded there, but only stayed 8 months and left. But 5 miles from him, prior to him leaving, were 2 Norwegian pioneers who specialized in making stonework without mortar. And they believe perhaps maybe they built the caves for him to have storage and things of that nature, but none of this can be proven.
Okay.
There's another one in the eastern part, and same thing.
Same thing.
So, yeah.
And so
during Prohibition, a few guys apparently crawled into it and started making illegal alcohol out of it. But they don't believe they made it. They believe they found the cave and just used it as a kind of a hideout to make their liquor. But
certainly. But then in the community, there is a lot of history with rock and stone buildings.
Yes.
Is that Viking kind of heritage, or tell us a little bit about that?
you know, I don't know the heritage of the individuals who built those structures, but could very well be.
But it's pretty famous for the area, and there's also a church that's a stone church as well.
The Swedish Lutheran Church, yeah.
Okay.
And that was built by the Swedes.
The Swedes,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, in the
So it's
community.
definitely a Scandinavian history in this
Yes.
neck of the woods.
Yes.
All right, and so we don't have a lot of time, but when we're still talking about stones, there was a Nassau individual that lived in Bottineau and did an exhibit up in the hills, Mystic Horizon.
Oh, Jack Olson, yeah.
Okay, just quickly, we have a couple minutes. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Jack?
Jack was an interesting gentleman. He worked for Boeing, and he was really an artist and came up with some different concepts for the space program. And a lot of his work is located in the Smithsonian. They hold his paintings and things of that nature, and on exhibit occasionally. But when he came back to Bottineau and retired, he built a thing called Mystical Horizons. It has kind of a Stonehenge walls kind of around it. There's also a telescope that allows you to look at the North Star at nighttime. And there's a sundial up there that works. So, but when the sun sets during the solstices, it goes through a variety of different stones, and then it finally goes through a slit of one. And if you're standing on a brass plate, the sun will hit you right in the chest. But
interesting.
And he designed it all. And, you know.
And he lived in Bottineau?
He was born and raised in Bottineau and then went into the military. He was a pilot and then stayed with Boeing.
Great. Well, Scott, you've left us with so much information. We're simply running short of time, but I understand that you have quite the museum up here too.
Yes, the Bottineau County Museum. It's a very interesting museum. Lots of fun and interesting artifacts to see. So they've done a really good job taking care of it and making it into a very educational museum.
Great. Well, we are running out of time, and here's the deal. All of this history that Scott just talked about and our other guests, you can find it right up here in the Bottineau area. They have a fantastic museum and exhibits all over the Turtle Mountains and the, just Bottineau area itself. So come on up and take a look. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate you taking the time to be honest today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll be right back after this on Ladies of Another View on Beck.
At Star N Bank, we think having choices is important, so you can choose the products that are right for your life. What are you waiting for? Explore the possibilities today at starnbank.com.
We're the ladies of Another View.
You think about the kind of person who is stupid enough to think that they can raise a tiger.
Bringing you our take on local issues.
Off your shirt. Sunburn, you better take care when you can't stand to sit down in your favorite chair.
The views you won't see anywhere else.
And it's like a river wearing down sharp stones and softening them up.
Catch us weekdays at 4:30 Central on Beck News and online at beck.news.
My hometown of Bottineau is brought to you in part by the following: Border Egg, Women's Way, State Bank of Bottineau.
Lori Hins here with No Apologies on Beck. You've got a movie.
Of course I've got a movie. What do you mean?
You are the king of all
movie?
media. How silly of me. Where we bring you our after-hours oasis of sanity.
You're going to see that this is an intentional destruction of the United States in three very intentional ways.
Every Saturday and Sunday.
There was not a single pro-life women's voice in Congress at that time.
On Beck and Beck.news.
My hometown of Bottineau is brought to you in part by the following: Drive Chevrolet Buick Bottineau, Harvey and Rugby, Gifts by the Lake, Bottineau Current,
Parents, listen up. Here's what your kids are being taught in public school, that there's no difference at all between boys and girls, that every white person is racist, and so is math. Supporting Black Lives Matter and social justice is more important than reading and writing, and thanks to Joe Biden, teachers unions just got tens of billions of dollars in COVID cash to push all this in front of your kids.
That's right, and we want to make sure you not only stay informed, but have the tools to fight back. So watch the Dr. Duke Show weekdays at 2:30 p.m. Central Time on Beck TV.
My hometown of Bottineau is brought to you in part by the following: Otter Tail Power Company, Wold Engineering PC, Farmers Union Oil Company of West Hope, Surrey, and Bottineau.
We have always said, and will continue to say on this show, that it's not enough to just trust the plan. This has been the reality in Mexico for close to 2 decades now.
Hey y'all, it's Trent on the loose. Travel the country with Trent on the loose, and we'll find those interesting human interest stories behind the people that bring us the efficient food supply. Trent on the loose.
Today's the day to go farther with a partner that provides you innovative solutions for your own personal financial future. Explore the possibilities today at starinbank.com.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck. We have saved the best for last. We always talk about what the community has to offer at the end of these shows. And I am visiting with Whitney Ganitsky. And you are with the Economic Development Board?
I sure am.
Wonderful. You know, when I came up here, I saw that it's a playground for 4 seasons. Tell us about that.
Since we're coming into summer, I'll start there. We have quite a bit to do during the summer, starting with our Bottineau County Fair. It's the oldest one in the state. It runs usually the 2nd or 3rd week of June. We have all sorts of awesome stuff to do there. We have a midway that has a lot of games. Our rodeo is spectacular. There's always some great things to see and do there. My kids personally, they love the animals that come, especially with the 4-H. So always get to see and play with the animals there.
You know, I want to give a shout out because someone had told me on one of the breaks here that there is a women's saddle bronc team coming to Bottineau to the rodeo.
Oh, wow.
For the county fair.
Cool.
So
I just saw the agenda or the itinerary, so it's going to be pretty cool this year.
Great. And so with it being a year-round playground, what other things do you have going on?
One of the best things that we have is our 4th of July activities that we have up at the lake. So this year, the 1st and the 3rd, there's going to be a ski show on Lake Metagoshi. The Club Tiskinatik is put together by some kids in our area, and they do activities out on the lake. So think pyramids on the lake, the 3 and 4 tier ones.
And these are on skis. They are on skis doing this.
Yes. And there's a jump out there. So they have teams of 4 that go out. It's really a great show. And so I encourage everybody to go out and check that show out. And then also on the 3rd, we have our fireworks show. And then the next day, there's a parade.
A kiddie parade, I understand. Wonderful. And you guys also have a car racetrack here, don't you?
Yep, Thunder Mountain Speedway. One of the best things this summer is going to be during the first weekend of August. We have the Conway Memorial Race. So I encourage everybody to come out for that.
Great. And so how far away are you from the Peace Gardens?
We're about 25 to 30 minutes away. That is a great thing to stop by and look at, especially if you're coming up here to do the loop. Their gardens are gorgeous, and they're also doing an upgrade to their succulent garden, their cactus garden that they have. That is it's pretty awesome to see. So I encourage everybody to make that stop.
I understand they put almost $1 million into that.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So that's a great location, and you'll have to stay right here in Bottineau. But then you also have Annie's house.
Mm-hmm. So Annie's house is at Bottineau Winter Park. They have an adaptive program there so that you can do year-round activities for anyone who has intellectual or physical disabilities. So they have trails, they have skiing in the winter, they have berry picking there and a lake to do fishing. So they have a lot of options. If anybody's interested in that, please reach out to Bottineau Winter Park. Your contact is Rachel Buss.
Yes, and we did a show with her as well. So that is going to be on a separate, but it was amazing. She's just a wealth of information. And so you also have things like the solstice rocks. One of the other guests had mentioned that earlier, but you just have just a plethora of things to do in this area because it's Bottineau County. It's the area. It's the Turtle Mountains.
Right.
There's so much to do.
So outside of like Lake Metagoshi State Park, there are a ton of hiking trails there. I want to say that there's up to 6 miles up there at Lake Metagoshi State Park, and then we have our OHV trails that are just north of town in Turtle Mountain Recreational State Park. Then we also have Strawberry Lake. There's some equine trails up there. Yeah, we have quite a few trails. And then in winter, we have our snowmobile trails as well, and there are hundreds of miles of that, way more than I ever thought. So when I did the research for snowmobiling this year, it was like, oh my gosh, there's so much to do. And then at Annie's house, so I'm going to go back to that, we have a ski team there, and we have a wealth of knowledge of the people that have come up here to coach our kids to ski. So nationally ranked kids coming out of Bottineau, North Dakota.
Oh, that's what I heard. You had world-class skiers right out of Bottineau. It's amazing. And then you also have passes that you can get discounts at different parks. And
oh, yes.
That's in the works right now, too. So then there are so many other things just right here. I mean, you have well, we're sitting at Pride Dairy right now, but you have boutiques, you have banks, you have absolutely everything that a large city has to offer. You have right here in your small town.
Yep. So personally, I consider our downtown adorable and probably the best small town downtown that there is here. So one of the things that we do to celebrate our downtown is the car show, which is the first weekend of August every year. We have Crazy Days the day before, which is just a fun day of sales at all of our stores and boutiques in town. And then the next day is our car show, in which all the way from the south end to the north end is just filled with antique cars. We also have some tractors, some snowmobiles, and bikes that come. It's a pretty great day.
Great. And so as far as your main street goes, do you have, say, opportunities available if anyone's looking to start a business up here?
Yep, we have a few opportunities downtown. There's also some on the highway. So if anyone's interested, you can call me at Bottineau County EDC.
Right. No, that's great to know. And you also have a small airport.
We do, which we are very lucky. We also have a couple of people who teach flying lessons there. So having that availability for people to fly in and out is great.
So I also heard a story when I was doing some research. You have great medical facilities, but you have the original hospital, which is on Main Street right here.
Yep.
And that's actually going to be moved as an exhibit to the north part of town. Tell us about your medical facilities here.
So we have St. Andrews. It's part of SMP. They have been ranked as part of their 100 critical access hospitals, so they're top ranked. Love that. So we're very lucky to have that here in town.
Well, that's just it. And then, so it's a great place to live. It's a great place to retire. It's a great place to visit. I mean, the list just goes on. And again, I go through these different communities, and I just can't say enough about this one because there's just so much to offer. I mean, it's a farming and ranching community, but yet it's a very corporate as well. There's just all kinds of businesses here.
I have been vacationing here since I was 22 with my husband because he's from the area. And it's always been our dream to move back here. And, 15 years later, we made that happen, and it couldn't be happier about that. We have quite a few businesses that have started up here, and we are so lucky that we have a vibrant downtown and a welcoming community.
That's great. And I understand, too, that there's a reservation not too far away. So for people who like to maybe play a little blackjack or gamble, it's just right off the beaten path?
Yep, right down the highway,
right
20 minutes away.
Perfect. And so, and another thing that I noticed is you have just a wealth of different hotels and restaurants right here.
Yep, so we have a couple up at the lake. We have quite a few down here in Bottineau. You can camp, stay at a hotel, you can stay at an Airbnb. We have some condos up at the lake that you can stay at. So whatever you're interested in, you can find something for you.
Wow. All right, so if you wanted to share, what would you love to leave our viewers with? One last thought.
Bottineau County is truly the jewel of North Dakota. And I believe that everybody can find something to do here, whether it be shopping, camping, hiking, biking, boating. You'll find it here.
Water skiing, snow skiing, anything, everything. All right, Whitney, thanks again for joining us today. All right, and we will see you at the next My Hometown on Ladies of Another View on Beck.